Good morning, Coach Slack here. One of the things that I'm very fond of about the Greek culture is Greek coffee. And today I'm going to make a small video on how I make Greek coffee. So first you start with your briki. This is a 1 serving size briki. You fill it with some water. I use filtered water from my Berkey. And make sure you leave enough room to add sugar and coffee and not overfill the briki. And today I'm doing this on a flat top stove. Most of obviously on the Holy Mountain, the fathers, they do it over a flame. And some of the Greeks that I've seen, even in America, do it over flame. So maybe that's because of their deep roots. So I put the heat on close to very high. My flat top, it's between 8 and high. Then I prefer my coffee metrio. In general, there are 3 ways to make coffee. Schietto, or black coffee without sugar. Metrio, which is a medium, so almost equal sugar and coffee mixture. And glika, which is very sweet, so a lot of sugar. So I use a spoon like this. It's probably a little bit smaller than a teaspoon. And when I add my sugar, I do 2 very small scoops, not even a full amount of this spoonful. So I add that, stir it into the water that's heating, essentially making a sugar water. Stir this in. Soon after, you don't have to wait too long, I add my coffee. Now, Greek coffee is very finely ground, basically into a powder. And instead of like making American coffee, percolating through a filter, Greek coffee, being that it's finely ground, you boil within the water. And so soon after, I add my 2 spoonfuls of coffee. Now in this case, I do kind of heaping spoonfuls. So like I mentioned earlier, my metrio is almost half and half sugar and coffee. So I definitely go with a wee little bit more coffee than I do with the sugar. And then you begin to stir this in. My coffee is a 50-50 mixture of 2 brands. Both very well-known brands of coffee. Lumides, which is one of the most popular brands of coffee, of Greek coffee in the world, but is known to be a lighter version of Greek coffee. And then I also order Bravo, another well-known brand, which is known to be a little bit stronger of a Greek coffee. And I mix them about 50-50 into my container and keep it refrigerated. And one of the keys is to stir the coffee often. So I'll stir it pretty well here in the beginning. And then I'll let it sit for a little bit. I mentioned I'm doing a 1-serving size briki. I also have a larger briki. If I have guests over, I can make multiple coffees in this larger briki. And it's a very traditional thing when Greeks have guests over, that they will offer them some Greek coffee. Even on the Holy Mountain, when you first arrive and go into the guest house, you'll quite often be offered Greek coffee with some water, some sipero, and some lakumi, so some Turkish delight. And I've also grown very fond of that arrangement. Take a little bit of water, especially if you've been hiking, drink my Greek coffee, and then even though it's a small container of sipero, I'll do it in like maybe 2 drinks, and then with following each of those drinks, because it's like a medicine, even though it's a liquor, I'll follow that with the lakumi for something sweet. I also mentioned that we have some other brikis. So I'll take you over here. You'll see hanging above our sink some brikis. These were from the coffee house, the Greek coffee house that was in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania, owned by Michael Pahikis. And when the Greeks would come over, first come over to America, the ones that were coming through Canonsburg, they would stay at this coffee house, and those were actually the brikis from that coffee house in the early 20th century. So you're talking from the, I don't know, 1930s on, and probably until the early 1970s. So very proud that we have those. Now, like I mentioned before, stir often. Multiple stirrings to espresso the coffee in the boiling water. So the mixture of the heat and the stirring will espresso the Greek coffee into the water, the sugar water, and make the coffee. And then the stirring also creates like a cream on the top that you'll see start forming. And being that you're boiling the coffee powder in your hot water, you're going to have a sediment. And so if you don't stir it often, you're going to have much more sediment as opposed to a cream or a good tasting coffee. So we're almost getting there. I'll go rinse my spoon. Another key to Greek coffee is to not let it get to a boil. So you gotta be attentive, and as you see it just about to start to boil, that's when you're gonna pour it into your cup. The cups that I use are clear cups. I like to do this, like I mentioned, there'll be a sediment, and here we go. And we'll pour this as it was just about to head to a boil. Turn off our heat, rinse our briki. And you'll see how there's a cream on the top, and you allow it to settle. And that's why I like the clear cups, because you can see the amount of sediment at the bottom. You know, obviously you don't want to drink the sediment. You just want the cream and the coffee. And so that's Coach Slack giving a small video demonstration of making his version of Greek coffee. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, have a great day.